Partitioning disk in Windows. Now, although most Windows 10 computers have only a single physical disk configured as a single volume, but this is not always the case. So, for example, sometimes you might want to store your important data on a different volume. Therefore, it is important that you understand how to create and manage simple mirrored, spanned, and strip volumes. So Windows 10 provides the storage spaces features also, and which enables you to simplify the multiple hard disk storage administration from within the operating system installed on a physical computer. So basically, most of the computers uses single hard disk and create the single volume. Single volume, that means a single partition. But normally when you create a single partition, your first partition, so Windows itself creates some system partition. So it is not like there is only one partition or one volume is there, but the other volumes you will not able to see because there are system. Those are system partitions. Now most of the time we need to create some different partition for storing a data, so that when you have a corrupt operating system or something went wrong, then you have to reinstall the operating system, or you want to repair your operating system, then it will not affect your data. So mostly we do what, we create different partition for storing data. Now there are different ways of creating partitions also available in Windows 10, that is simple partition, mirrored, spanned, and strip volumes. And also Windows 10 gives us the feature called storage spaces, which is enable us to combine multiple hard disks to create these storages. So this is all we have in this partitioning. Now first, storage options. What storage options we have? So although you can save files to the local hard disk in Windows 10, several additional storage options are available. And we will see in this lesson various storage technologies, including different types of server-based and cloud-based storages. You can use the virtual hard disk feature in Windows 10 to present a portion of a hard disk drive as an independent hard drive. This is also a new thing in Windows 10 since Windows 8 also, that is what virtual hard disk. We can create a virtual hard disk, that means we can use the portion of a space from our main hard disk, our real hard disk, as a virtual hard disk. Now the first storage option we have is local storage. Now local storage, that is what, your hard disk, locally attached hard disk. So a locally attached hard disk is also known as direct attached storage. It is also called DAS, DAS, that is direct attached storage. And depending on the hard disk type and the type of hard disk controller, you might get varying performance of local hard disk. The solid state drive, that is SSD, which is the new technology, which uses the flash card technology, are the fastest hard disk, but they are more expensive than older technologies. Older technologies such as we had previously IDE technology, that is also called PATA. Then we have SATA technologies, new hard disk, that is called SATA. Then we have SCSI hard disk also. SCSI hard disks are more faster than the SATA, and they are available only on server machines. Mostly they use in server machines SCSI disks, but in normal machines, normal Windows 10 machines, like in client machine or home machines, we use this different local storage, like IDE is now old, nobody uses this, so mostly SATA is used. But now we have a different technology, it is called solid state drives, SSD. This technology uses a flash card technology. That means in normal hard disks, previous versions, like old versions of hard disks like IDE, SATA or PATA, what inside the hard disk is a disk. There is a disk inside the hard disk, and on that disk we store the data. We read and write the data on those disks, on that disk. But this SSD does not have any kind of disk. It uses the flash card technology, just like our flash, just like our pen drive. We have ICs or ICs to store the data. So it uses the same technology, and it is the fastest one. This is the fastest hard disk available we have. But the problem is nowadays it is very expensive. It is very expensive than the normal hard disk which we have. Then other kind of storage we have is server based storage. Now server based storage, that means using Windows Server 2016 as a file server, gives you central access to your files. Although the file server contains local storage, larger organizations often acquire separate storage system optimizations for performance and security. And there are two types of external storage system, NAS and SAN. Now we use server also. We use what? Centralized storage. Centralized storage, that means we use storage from the server, shared by the server. Shared by the server, that means we have a single server, that is in Windows environment we have Windows Server 2016, and we have different clients as a Windows 10. So all those client machines, from all those client machines you can store your data into the server storage. That is, we can say, centralized storage. Now on that server, when you are storing the data, there could be a local storage. There could be a local storage, that means there is a hard disk inside the server and you are storing the data on that hard disk. So when you store the data on server, so it is storing on that server's hard disk. So again it is going like a storing data on the hard disk. So for that, server administrator uses the different storage optimization technologies to use to increase the performance and security features. So there are different these storage technologies are there. Now there are two types of external storage types we have, SAN and NAS. That means when you store the data on server, so we can use this two type of systems, storage systems. One is NAS. NAS means it is a storage that can connect it to a dedicated storage device, and you can access it over the network. And unlike the NAS is not directly attached to the computer or server, and user access it over the network. And NAS has two distinct solutions: a low-end application, that is NAS only, and an enterprise class NAS that integrates with the SAN. So NAS device typically provide file level access to the storage, and which means that you can access the data on the storage only as a file, and you must use the protocols such as Common Internet File System for Windows. Then server message block is also for Windows, or network file system, this is for Linux system, to access the files. So basically this NAS is what, when you share the folder from the server or any other Windows machine or Linux machine, so it is called NAS. That means you are sharing the storage from the server who is serving the storage to the client. So client uses the share folder as a storage. So for accessing the share folder from Windows machines, we use CIFS or SMB protocol, and for accessing the share folder from the Linux machine, we use the NFS. It is like this. So NAS is like this, where you are having a server, NAS device, and then your local network Ethernet, and this is your file server where you share the folder. So you can access this from here to here by using these protocols. So you use the network. Now in other hand we have SAN. Now sometime it says what, that an enterprise class NAS that integrate with the SAN also. That integrate with the SAN, that means the server who is sharing the folders, who is sharing the files, it uses the SAN technology to store those files in an enterprise network. So what is SAN? So SAN is a high-speed network that connect computer system or host server to high-performance storage subsystem. A SAN usually includes various components such as host bus adapter, that is called HBAs, and special switches to help route traffic, and storage disk arrays with logical unit numbers, LUNs, for storages. A SAN enables multiple servers to access a pool of storage in which any server can potentially access any storage unit. And because a SAN is a network, you can use the SAN to connect many different devices and hosts and provide access to any connected devices or from anywhere. So this is what the design of SAN. So it uses a different kind of network, host bus adapters which is connected to the servers, and then different kind of switches who is ready to transfer the data for the storage. And these are the storage devices. Now storage devices are like separate storage devices. They are not like a servers. They are different devices where you can connect multiple disks and you can configure different types of storage there. So this is dedicated storage devices are there which is connected through the network to these servers. So more than one server can use the storage devices, storage from the storage devices, and from here on these servers they can use to configure the different applications, and even they can share the folder using NAS to the clients also. That means from this server I can share the folder as a storage for the client, and when the client will access, they will access using NAS technology. And on the server, it is not storing on the server local disk, it will store on the storage device of SAN. So in a big network, in an enterprise network, so NAS sometimes store the data on what? SAN storage. Now these are network storage devices. When network storage, server based storage, where we have server, we can store the storage on server. Now when you are on client machine, then you will use only local storage. And if you want to use the network storage, then you have to be into the domain, so that you can connect the domain and you can use the network storage. Now another thing is virtual hard disk. This is Windows 10's fully supported virtual hard disk. The virtual hard disk with an extension of .vhd or .vhdx. .vhd is the extension of Windows 8 machine. So if you are using it on Windows 8, so it was VHD extension, the virtual disk extension was VHD, but now in Windows 10 we have VHDX. This is the file format specific a virtual hard disk encapsulated in a single file. This disk is capable of hosting native file system and supporting a standard disk operating system. Virtual disks are an integral part of virtual machine environments such as client Hyper-V. So now where this virtual disk came from? So this came from the virtual machine. Hyper-V, we create the virtual machines, and for those virtual machines we need the virtual hard disk. So this virtual hard disk is available in Windows 10, it is from Windows 8 also. So this virtual hard disk allows us to do what? To separate a space from our local disk as a virtual hard disk. And this virtual hard disk can support the standard disk operating system also. It supports the standard disk operating. That means it supports the native hosting file system also. That means we can install the operating system also in that virtual disk. Because when you create the virtual machine, so in that virtual machine you want to install the operating system also. Virtual disk can allow you to install the operating system also on the virtual disk. Then we have cloud-based storage. This cloud storage simplifies the access to your files as long as you have internet access. And when you sign in with your Microsoft account, you can access all the files on your OneDrive. And Microsoft also offers enterprise cloud storage with Microsoft Azure storage. So this is Microsoft OneDrive we have available and installed by default in our Windows 10, and this one gives you the cloud storage. Cloud storage, that means the storage stores into the cloud, and cloud, that means it will be stored into the Microsoft's cloud servers. The servers are there, they have storage, they have available storage, and they give you through the OneDrive, and you can access the storage and you can store your files on that. For that, what you need is to log in with your Microsoft account on your Windows machine, and also you need to have an internet connection. So when you have an internet connection, so you can connect your OneDrive by logging into OneDrive with your Microsoft account, and also then you can store your storage, you can store your files on that OneDrive. Now you have two type of OneDrive actually, OneDrive for local use and OneDrive for business. So you have Microsoft OneDrive, which gives you 5 GB free space, and now I think they have reduced it to 2 GB, and Office 365 customers get at least 1 TB storage. That means if you purchase Office 365, that is the cloud version of Microsoft Office, so you will get at least 1 TB storage for it. So you can use at least 1 TB storage in a OneDrive. This automatically copy of camera roll from phones and tablets, and this will do what? If you are using a smartphone, Windows 10 smartphone, so it will do what? It will copy automatically your camera roll, whatever the images you take from your camera, it will be automatically uploaded into OneDrive. It is just like in Android phones you have Google Photos, that also have a cloud drive you have. Then you have OneDrive and Windows 10, you have synchronization of selected folders to device. That means if you are using it on your desktop, then you have option to synchronize the selected folders to the device, and no smart files available. You will upload the files from through the synchronized folders. So you can synchronize any folder to upload it onto OneDrive from Windows 10. But there is another enterprise solution for the storage, cloud storage, is called Azure Storage. Azure is your Microsoft's cloud service. So you have Azure Active Directory, you have different Azure services also, and within that you have Azure Storage Service also, which gives you the large storage with enterprise solution. Blob storage, table storage, queue storage, file storage. These are different type of storages available on Azure Storage, Microsoft Azure Storage. Now, how we can manage the disk? Managing the disk, partitions and volumes. So before you can use the disk in Windows 10, you must prepare it for use. And you must first partition the disk by using the partitioning scheme. And after partitioning the disk, you must create and format one or more volumes before an operating system can use the disk. So before using the disk, you have to format it. So you have to create the partitioning scheme, and then you have to create one or more partitions, and then you can install the operating system. So remember, when we try to install the operating system, we started the installation. At the installation time, it asks us to create the partition. It does not ask us to create partitioning scheme. It does not ask us to create the file system. It just asks us to create the partition. Other things it will do it automatically. So in that time, if you want only single volume, so you can create the single volume, or you want multiple volumes, like one volume for your operating system and the other volume for your data, then you can do that on that time also. But without that, you cannot use your storage device, storage disk, and your partition, your hard disk. So after installing the operating system, you can also change the partitioning. Now first is the partitioning scheme. So partitioning scheme, that means when you install a disk and initialize it for the first time, remember when you do this first time, so you must choose between two partitioning scheme, that is master boot record, that is MBR, or globally unique identifier partitioning table, that is GPT. Previously we have only MBR, but now we have the latest, which is GPT. This is our partitioning scheme, and we have to choose it. Now remember, when you are installing the system, it will not ask us to do this. It will choose the partitioning scheme automatically. Now this MBR and GPT. Now if you attach the new hard disk after installation, then suppose it is a fresh hard disk, you have bought it from the market and you have not used it before, so you have to create this partitioning scheme, MBR or GPT. Now what is the difference between this MBR and GPT? So first, MBR, this MBR contains the partition table for a disk and a small amount of executable code called the master boot record. This helps the operating system to start. This master boot record, this master boot code, it is the bootable code which helps the operating system to start. That means it is helping operating system to boot. Now the MBR partitioning scheme has been in use for a long time, and it supports both current and older desktop operating systems such as the MS-DOS and Microsoft Windows Server 4.0 operating system. So consequently, most operating system today supports the MBR partitioning scheme. However, the MBR partitioning scheme imposes certain restrictions. Now what are those restrictions? Including 4 partitions on each disk. That means you can create only 4 partitions in every disk of MBR partitioning scheme. And MBR based disks are limited to 4 partitions, and all these can be primary partitions. Remember, in MBR, in the partitioning scheme, we have 2 type of partitions, primary and extended. So if you are creating all the primary partitions, then you can create 4 primary partitions, or you can create or one can be an extended partition. That means you can create 1 extended partition, or you can create 4 primary partitions. Remember, you can create only 4 partitions. So either you create all the partitions as a primary, or if you want to create extended, then you can create only 1 extended partition, only 1. And with that extended partition, in that extended partition, you can create logical volume inside. So you can configure the extended partition to contain multiple logical volumes. Now why we need this extended partition? Because sometime we need more than 4 partitions. If suppose you need not more than 4 partitions, then you can go for primary partitions. You can create only primary partitions. Primary 1, primary 2, primary 3, primary 4, done. But suppose your requirements are to create more than 4 partitions. Now here in MBR you can't do that. You cannot create more than 4 partitions. This is the limit of this MBR. Now if you want more than 4 partition, then what you can do, you can create 1 extended partition, and in that extended partition you can create logical volumes. Now logical volumes, you can create n numbers of logical volumes. So suppose I need more than 4 partitions, suppose I need 6 partitions. So what I will do, I will create 3 primary partitions, and last one, 4th one, I will create extended. So basically I have only 4 partitions, but in that extended partition I can create rest of the 2 partitions which I required, and that partitions I will create as a logical volumes. Logical volumes just not look like anything else, it looks like a normal partitions. So when you use it, it will use it as a normal partition. It is just that it is created under extended partition. And remember, you cannot use extended partition. You can use the logical partitions, logical volumes inside the extended partition. So we use the extended partition only when we need more than 4 partitions. That is why it is called extended. Now after that 4 partition limit, this MBR we have a 2 TB maximum partition size limit. That means the partition cannot be larger than 2 TB. So we cannot create the partition of more than 2 TB, and that restricts the hard disk size also. That means suppose if I'm having a hard disk more than 2 TB. Suppose I am having a hard disk of 1 TB, 4 TB, and if I try to use that hard disk and I try to use it to create single partition, I am not able to do that because it uses only maximum 2 TB. Now remember, it is the older version of partitioning scheme. It was used in the old previous all the versions of Microsoft. Now that time there was not much hard disk size available. Like on that time the maximum size of the hard disk was 10 TB, 10 MB, 20 MB. It was like that. 10 MB, 20 MB, then 100 MB. So for that time 2 TB is the maximum size for them. They have not thought about that one day we have 4 TB of hard disk also. So they have not think about this. So they have not created this, designed this MBR to support more than 2 TB. They just restrict it on to 2 TB. Nowadays we can have a hard disk of 4 TB also. And that is what we need, another partitioning scheme, and that is why we have now GPT. So it does not support more than 2 TB partitioning size, and this no redundancy provided. That means it will not give you any redundancy. The MBR is a single point of failure, and if it corrupts or suffers damage, it can render a computer incapable of starting. So it can simply, if it is corrupt, then it can not be recovered. It will not provide any kind of redundancy. Now GPT. So because we have some limitations on MBR for the modern times, so we have now GPT available. Now GPT disk contains an array of partitioning entries that describe the start and end and LBA of each partitions of disks. So each GPT partition has a unique GUID and partition content type. So you can implement GPT disk on Windows Server 2008 and newer version, Windows 10, Windows 8.1, Windows 8, Windows 7 and Windows Vista. You cannot use GPT partitioning style on removable disk, and also you cannot use it on removable disk, your external disk or your flash drive. So you can't use that on those, and also you can't use it on older version of Windows. It only supports the new version of Windows, like from Windows Vista to 7, 8, 8.1 and 10. And from servers it supports from Windows Server 8. It is supported. So this is for the new version of operating system, Windows operating system. Now both 32-bit and 64-bit Windows operating system supports GPT for data disk. Remember, for data disk on BIOS system. Now however, you cannot start your computer from them. That means you cannot boot your operating system, you cannot install operating system on them. These 64-bit Windows operating systems support GPT for boot disk on EFI system. Now remember, if you use GPT partitioning scheme, you cannot do installation, you cannot install operating system. You cannot install operating system on that. And that is why I said, when you install the operating system, so at the time of installation, it will not ask us to choose the partitioning scheme. It chooses automatically. So depending on this factor, so if you are using 32-bit and either you use 32-bit or 64-bit operating system on BIOS system, remember this is what the normal BIOS of your hardware, your computer. But now we have a different BIOS, newer version of BIOS we have, which is called UEFI. And mostly all the new machines, new computers are having this BIOS, UEFI BIOS. So if your machine is not having UEFI BIOS and you are having normal BIOS, so either you use 64-bit or 32-bit operating system, it will not use GPT for installation. It will always create MBR. And if your machine is having UEFI BIOS UEFI BIOS support, and also you're installing 64-bit operating system, then it will automatically use GPT partitioning scheme as a installation disk on a boot disk. Otherwise it will automatically go for MBR. Now in Windows 8, Windows 8.1, actually it does not support. It always use MBR for the partitioning scheme when we install the operating system. But in Windows 10 it supports the GPT for operating system. That means in Windows 10 you can use GPT partitioning scheme for operating system. That means for boot disk, for booting. But there is a condition: if your hard disk, if your BIOS supports UEFI and your operating system you are installing is 64-bit. So if you are installing 32-bit of Windows on EFI, then it will not use GPT, it will always go for MBR. By default it will go for MBR. Then GPT disk addresses the limitation of MBR disk and provides support for the following. So it addresses those limitations which we had in the MBR. So first limitation was there is only 4 partitions we can create. But now in the GPT we can create 128 partitions per disk. This is a major improvement over MBR based disk. Then what is next is 18 hexabyte of volume size, and this is the theoretical maximum, and because hard disk hardware that can support such a large volume size is not available. So now this GPT can support 18 hexabyte of volume size. That means you have 1000 TB, 1024 TB, then you will have 1 PB, petabyte. Then 1024 petabyte you will get 1 hexabyte, and this is what that hexabyte, and it can go up to 18 hexabytes. And this is the largest and maximum space we can have till now. Nowadays we are not having any kind of hard disk which supports this kind of space, but in future maybe we have, because in old days there was only 10 MB, 20 MB partitions, hard disk was there, only 10 GB hard disk was there. On that time nobody had think that 2 TB we will reach sometime 2 TB or 4 TB. So nowadays when we think about 18 hexabyte, it looks like impossible for now, but maybe in future it will be there. So it is supporting now 18 hexabyte GPT. Then redundancy, it uses cyclic redundancy checks CRC, duplicates and protects the GPT. So it has some kind of redundancy also available for the data. So it is good for your data. That means you are not able to easily lost your data. So this is what partitioning scheme we have. Now after the partitioning scheme, after selecting the partitioning scheme, we create the partition. Now we cannot use that partition, we cannot use that volume until we have a file system. So we have to have a file system of in a storage device. Whatever kind of storage device you are using, you have to have a file system to use that device, use that partition or use that volume. Without the file system you cannot use it. So in a computer, a file system, sometimes written as file system, is the way in which files are named and where they are placed logically for storage and retrieval. So without a file system, stored information wouldn't be isolated into individual files and would be difficult to identify and retrieve. As data capacities increase, the organizations and accessibility of individual files are become even more important in data storage. So these file systems provide the way you store the data in the disk, in the storage device, and how you retrieve the data from the storage device. It is providing the systematic way. It provides the name where by the name, like where these files are stored. So name and where the place where they are placed in this storage device, so that it will be easy for retrieving the file and storing back to the storage device. Now who did this? Remember, this is done by the operating system. Operating system uses the file system to retrieve and store the data. We don't care about this. You see the file on the desktop, you double click and you open it. You don't know that file is stored where in the storage, where in the partition, where in the physical hard disk. You don't know about that. The operating system knows that where the file is stored, and the job of the opening the file is done by the operating system. And operating system has to find the file on the storage device, and it has to give you the file when you want it, like when you double click it and you have to get the file, and the operating system's job is to get the file from the storage device. Now without the file system, it is not been easy for that operating system to get the file. So these file system provides the systematic way that where you have to store where the files are stored, what is the name, index and all that. It actually creates the table. File system actually creates the table where you have different size of columns, where you have name of the file, size of the file, address of the file, and what are the other attributes of the files like owner, permission and all that. It all written on that table. So when you store any file in your computer, so it is stored into the hard disk and the information goes into file system. So whenever you do store any file, so it is stored into the hard disk, and the file system has the information that where it is stored, what is the name, what is the size, who is the owner, what is the permission, everything it is stored into the file system. So whenever operating system try to get the file, it will be very easy for operating system to get the file from the hard disk by checking it into the file system. So it depends on the operating system what file system it uses. So different operating systems uses the different file system. So type of file system, there are different type of file system, and depends on operating system, it uses a different file system. So there are number of types of file system, all with different logical structures and properties such as speed and size. The type of file system can differ by OS and the need of that OS. So the three most common PC operating system are Microsoft Windows, Mac OS X and Linux. And mobile OSs includes Apple iOS and Google Android. So these are the operating systems, and they use different file systems. Now first file system is FAT. FAT is what? FAT is file allocation table. It is the old file system but is still supported in almost all operating systems. We can say this is what universal file system. It is still now it is the oldest one, but it is still supported in all the operating system, even in all the devices. That means even your other smart devices also, even your LED TV, smart TV, your mobile, your smartphones, everywhere it's supported everywhere. Then we have new technology file system. It is called NTFS. Now it is the default file system for Windows products from Windows NT to 3.1 OS onward. That means before this Windows version, Windows was also using this FAT file system. Then after this version of Windows, all the Windows machines supports this NTFS. This is improvement from the previous FAT file system, included better metadata support, performance and use of the disk space. Now NTFS is also supported in the Linux OS through a free open source NTFS driver. It is also supported in Linux machines. Mac OSs have read-only support for NTFS. Now in Linux also you can use the NTFS partition system, this file system. It is available the free open source NTFS drivers to use this, but under the Mac OSs you can only have read-only access of NTFS. Then you have universal disk format, UDF, and it is the vendor natural file system used on optical media and DVDs. So UDF replaces the ISO 9660 file system and is the official file system for DVD video and audio as chosen by the DVD forum. Remember, these CD DVDs are also the storage device, and remember I said without a file system any storage device you can't use. So on these CD DVDs, on these DVD video or audio DVDs, the file system used is universal disk format. Previously it was used, everybody was using ISO standard of ISO 9660, but now it is what, UDF, it is uses UDF. And if you go for Linux, there are different file systems. There are lots of different file systems are available. Now in Windows we have dynamic disks and basic disk. So first, dynamic disk provide features that basic disks do not include. So by using the dynamic disk, you can create volumes that span multiple disks and fault tolerant volumes. Dynamic disk can also use the MBR or GPT partitioning style. So you can use MBR or GPT for creating the dynamic disk. So we have actually two type of disk in Windows operating system. There is basic disk and dynamic disk. By default, when you create it, it will create the basic disk. But we can convert the basic disk into dynamic disk. But why we convert this into dynamic disk? Where you can, by converting it into dynamic disk, we can get a different advanced options. Like we can combine multiple hard disks for fault tolerance. That means we can combine multiple disks to create a single partition by using the dynamic disk. So this is what the main difference between these advantages and disadvantages of basic and dynamic disk. So first, when you use the basic disk, the advantage is compatible with most operating system. That means it is compatible with most operating system. That means when you use one disk in one machine, one operating system, and if you remove the disk from here and you connect it to the other machine, it will still be visible, it will still be there, and you can use the disk. And this one convert to dynamic disk without data loss. Remember, when you are creating the partition, when you are starting the disk, you will be creating basic disk. By default, you create, whenever you create any volume, it will create under the basic disk. So you can convert the basic disk into dynamic disk, and by doing that you don't have to lose the data. It will not remove any data, no data loss. Now there is disadvantages also. It only uses the contiguous spaces on one disk. That means it uses only one disk for single partition. Then limited number of partition on MBR disk. That means if you are using MBR, so remember you can create only 4 partitions. Then when you go for dynamic disk, it supports the advantages are it support multi-disk volume. Multi-disk volume, that means you can create a volume which can use different disks. That means you can combine 2-3 disks to create a single volume. You can span the volume of this, span the volume onto multiple disks. And for doing that, it's do what? Fault tolerance. It support the fault tolerant. That means by expanding the single volume to multiple disks gives you the fault tolerant. That means if one of the disks goes down or corrupt, still you will not lose the data. Then it supports 1024 volumes on MBR disk. Remember, MBR can support only 4 partitions, but when you convert it into dynamic disk, this is Windows specific. So when you convert it into dynamic disk, it can support 1024 partitions in MBR partitioning scheme. But this is what, remember, this is Windows specific. This dynamic disk feature is only on Windows. So in Windows 10 and Windows, what you can do, you can convert the dynamic disk, basic disk to dynamic, and when you convert it, you can create 1024 partitions, 1024 volumes on MBR disk also. Now the disadvantage, only compatible with Windows. As I said, it is Windows specific, so it will not support it in any other disk, and cannot convert to basic disk without data loss. That means once you convert disk into dynamic, then you cannot go back. You cannot go back to basic disk. If you want to go back to this, the basic disk, you have to recreate everything, and that means you have to remove everything that will be removed. That means all the data will be removed. These are the advantages and disadvantages. So we have this dynamic and basic disk available in Windows, only Windows. Now what extra thing you will get when you convert the disk into dynamic? It consists of multi-disk volume. So what volumes it consists? Span, strip and mirror volume. We can use span, strip, span and strip and mirrored volume you can create. It can contain up to 1024 volumes. Can be created from basic disk without data loss. Require all volumes to be deleted when you convert them to basic disk. So you can convert it into basic disk, but you will lose all the data because you have to delete all the volumes. So whatever the volume you have created, you have to delete it to convert back to basic disk. And when you delete the volumes, you lose the data. There are no PowerShell command, Windows PowerShell commandlet for managing the dynamic disk. For managing the dynamic disk, for doing span, strip, mirror things, you are not having any PowerShell command to do that. So these are the different type of disk we have, partitioning scheme we have, and the file system we have. Now, how we can manage the disk in our Windows system? So disk management tools. What are the disk management tools we have? So you can use the following tool for managing the disk and partitioning they contain. So first tool we have is disk management. This is a GUI, that means graphical user interface. This is a graphical tool for managing the disk and volumes, both basic and dynamic, locally or on remote computers. And after you select the remote computer that you want to manage, you can perform the same task that you can typically perform when you use the local computer. So you can manage your local computer disk, and you can also manage the remote computer disk. But for managing the remote computer, you have to connect first. You have to be connected to the same network, and you have to connect first that remote computer, and then you can use it like a normal local disk. You can configure it now like a normal locally connected disk. Now to open this disk management, we can open it from pressing Windows R to open the run, and then from there we can type diskmanagement.msc, and then when you press enter, the disk management tool will open, and from here we can manage our disk. Let's see how we can do this. So this is our system. So if we want to open the disk management, we can also open it from computer management. It is one of the tools from computer management. If you right click on the start button, so you will see the computer management, and also you will see the disk management. So basically it is actually a tool from the computer management. So if you open the computer management, this is your computer management tool, where you can see these different tools available, and from these different tools you have this disk management tool also available. Then you can open it directly and only disk management by right clicking on start, and you can only open the disk management. So this is only disk management, no other thing is available here. or you can press Windows plus R to get this run, and then here you will type disk mgmp.msc and enter. So this is the different ways to open the disk management, and once you open it, you can manage your disk. Now here what you see is this different partitions, different volumes. Here we have, and different disk, whatever the disk we have here. Right now we have only single disk, and this one is our CD DVD. Our DVD is connected. In our DVD we have the installation disk, and that installation disk, if you can see here, the file system is UDF. This is the UDF file system. So what are these disks? So these the single disk we have. In that disk we have these three partitions. You can also see here it says disk 0 we have, and in this disk 0 we have 1, 2 and 3 partitions. But we can see only one partition. If you go to the computer, my computer, if you go to the browser, File Explorer, you see only one partition, one volume, that is C drive. So when we install the system, at the time of installation, if you create only one partition, so by default it will not create only one, it actually create some extra partitions, and these are 2 extra partitions it is created for the system files. This is for EFI system partition, this is EFI system partition for the EFI installation bootable files 100 MB, and this is for 99 MB for recovery partition, for healthy recovery. It has a recovery tools. We will see when we do the file operating system recovery. So this is storing the recovery files, this is storing the bootable files, and this is our main operating system. Now these 2 partitions are not showing here in our File Explorer. Now why it is not showing? Because they are not having any drive letter. You see the drive letter is C here, the DVD is having a D. So these 2 partitions does not have any drive letter, and that is why they are not showing there. We can say that these are hidden drives. So because they are not having a drive letter, so you can't see those drives on File Explorer. You can see only those having the drive letters. What other things it is showing here? That see, it is the simple layout, it is simple. Then it is under the basic disk. You can see here also it is basic disk. The file system is NTFS for this C drive. These drives are not showing, they are not showing it, but they are having NTFS. Then this is healthy, boot page files, crash dump, basic data partition. This is basic data partition. Capacity of 99.40 GB, and you can see it is 100 GB. I have created it for 100 GB, but it is not giving me the whole 100 GB. Now why it is not giving me the whole 100 GB? Because of the file system. File system itself, remember, file system has an information about all the data stored in your drive or in your volume. So for storing those all information, it uses some space, and that space it is using, and it is not giving me the whole 100 GB. Now among those 100 GB, free space is for 74, and that means 74% is free. And in these partitions, these system partitions, all the spaces are used, 100% space are used. It is not showing actually, it is saying 100% is free, because it is not showing the data, what data it has in this. Datas are hidden, it is not showing, so it is saying that all data is free and 100% is free. But this CD DVD, the whole CD DVD is written, so it is not showing any space available, it is 0% free. So now we have these partitions available in this, and now we can do what? We can manage these partitions. Now manage these partitions means what? We can create new partition, we can delete partitions and all that. But here we can't do this because the whole space of the disk is used. and we can't do this, we can't create new partitions because we don't have any unallocated space, we don't have any free space. In down there here you can see these color symbols. It says that this color says that these are primary partitions, and we can see this is the same color these three partitions are having. That means these three partitions are primary partitions. We can see it is the primary partitions, and this color indicates that unallocated space, and that is not available here. So unallocated space, that means the space which is not used, which we can use to create new partitions or new volumes. So it is not available because there is no space available here. Now if I want to have a single partition again, now remember what, you have only one single partition. Now in a single partition there is a operating system, your system drive. This is your system drive. All the operating system files are there in this partition. Now if you store the data on this partition, then what happens? When you reinstall this operating system, then your data will also, the chances of the data will be removed. So you need a separate partition for storing the data. But now what? There is no option now that I can create new partition because there is no unallocated space available. Now in previous versions of Windows, it was not possible for us to create new partition in this kind of situation. So what we do, we add the new hard disk, we connect the new hard disk to create separate partition. But nowadays in Windows 10 or from Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, we have option to shrink current partition to make some available space, to make available some space to create new partition. So there is an option we have that we can do shrink the current partition to create new space. That means we have this 100 GB C drive and I want to divide this, I want to create new drive also, but there is no unallocated space. So what I can do, I can shrink this C drive, because remember all the C drive is not used, 74% is free. So I can use 50% of this to store data. That means from 100 GB I can use 50 GB for storing the data. But in this same drive if I store, then when I reinstall or my operating system corrupts, then my data can also be corrupt or I can lost my data. So I want to have a separate partition. So in old versions of Windows it was not possible. But here now there is a feature called shrinking the drive. That means we can shrink the current partition to get some extra space. So I can shrink this 100 GB partition to 50 GB and get the 50 GB available to create another drive. Now remember, when you are shrinking the drive, you have to be careful that what is the size available. So it is showing 74% available. So you have to make sure your operating system is having sufficient space for the system files and also the applications which you install. So at least you should have 60 or 50 GB for your C drive. So what I will do, I can shrink the drive. So how I can do that? I will select the drive I want to shrink. I will right click on it, and here I will have this option, shrink the volume. So I can shrink it to get some space to create another drive. So I will click on shrink volume. It is querying the volume, that how much it can shrink. And now it is showing you that the total size before shrinking, that means the exact size is this, it is actually 100 GB. It is showing under MB, it is showing in MBs, you can see it is showing in MBs. So it is showing that 101781, that is what, 1,017,100 2681 is the current total size. Now size of available shrink space, that means how much you can shrink till right now, is this 74,751. You can shrink it. And after shrinking the total volume, if you shrink this total volume, available volume, the available size will be this 26,030. So it will remain 26,030 MB, that is 26 GB. So if you shrink all the available 75 GB, then you will remain with 26 only GB, and that is the used space. What it is saying here, that you cannot shrink a volume beyond the point where any unmovable files are located. So see the defrag event in the application log for details information about the operation within it has completed. So it is saying because that you should not use the whole available space. You should leave some space basically. So here it is asking how much you want to shrink. So I will say I want 50 GB. So I am saying 50,000. Now after shrinking it to 50,000, it will remain 50,000 for the C drive. So after deciding how much you want to shrink, you can click on shrink. And now you can see here it is shrink the C drive, and this C drive becomes 50, and we have now unallocated space as a 48, and almost it is what, 50 GB. So you can see now this color here, unallocated space. Now we have unallocated space, that means we can create new partition here in this unallocated space. So how you will do this? By right clicking on this partition, unallocated space, and you can create new simple volume. So there are different volumes we have. We can create simple volume, we can create span volume, strip volume, mirror volume. But remember, creating span, strip and mirror volume, you can do it only on dynamic disk. On basic disk, you can create only simple volume. But these options are not available, not because of this disk is basic, because these options need multiple volumes, multiple disks. You cannot, these options will not be available in a single disk. You need separate disk, separate multiple disks to configure these volumes. So I will show you what this is, but let's create first simple disk. So when you select simple volume, it will open this wizard, and here you will say okay, welcome to the new simple volume wizard. You say okay and press next. Now here it is saying this is in MB total available space, and how much space of this volume you want to create. So you can use the whole space to create a single partition, or you can even divide some space also. And you cannot go minimum than 8 MB. This is the minimum chunk of size of chunk. So you cannot go minimum than 8 MB, and maximum you can go up to this. Now you have to decide how much you want to use. So I am using whole. I will use the whole space here. Next. And here it will say assign the following drive. So it is going to assign this drive letter for this partition, for this drive. Remember, we have C drive and we have D also available for the DVD drive, and after the D, now this drive will get E. And if you want something else, then you can choose from here, available letters. And remember, it is starting from C. We have available A and B, but it does not use A and B automatically. Why? Because these A and B is actually reserved for floppy drives. So our partition drives, these hard disk drives starts from C, because A and B is reserved for floppy drive, but you can use it manually. you can select manually. Okay, then you can also select do not assign a drive letter. Now if you don't assign the drive letter, it will become like this, these system partitions which is not having a drive letter, and they will not appear in the file explorer. And even you can use this option, mount in the following NTFS empty NTFS folder. This option is useful in some case. I will show you what case. Let's first create this drive now by using this drive letter E. Now it is saying do not format this volume. Now formatting means what? Formatting means creating the file system. So when you do formatting, it is actually doing what? Creating the file system. And when you do reformatting, that means you are doing what? You are recreating the file system. You are removing the old file system, you are recreating the new file system. So formatting or reformatting does not mean you are deleting the data. Remember, this does not mean removing or deleting any data. It is only creating or recreating the file system. So when you create the new file system, it will be empty. So it will look empty. And when you recreate the file system, that means again it is new file system and it will look empty. So suppose you are having a disk and you are having a data in that disk, and you are creating, you are reformatting it. So when you reformat it, that means you create new file system and the disk will look empty. That means you see that disk is empty and you can store new files. But actually the data is not removed, data is there. It is only that you are recreated the file system, you recreated the file system table, and that table is empty. So the disk is looking empty. And that is why when you can do recover the file after formatting also. After formatting, you can use some tools to recover the file because it is actually not removing the data. So you can say that I don't want to format this volume, I can format later, or you can format right now. Now here you can select the file system. By default it is selecting NTFS, which is the default file system for Windows, and you have other also. You have this FAT. Now this is not a normal FAT, it is extended FAT. You can choose extended FAT also, but it works like a normal FAT also. It's supported on all the other devices also. It is FAT, but it is only extended FAT. Extended FAT is actually different than normal FAT. It supports large amount of space. This is Windows specific. Then you can select allocation unit size. By default it goes for the default one, but you can go for different size also. This is the smallest size of the data you can store in this disk, in this volume. Then you can rename the volume by any other name. By default it will go by this local disk. You can rename the file, the volume by using something else. It is now by default it is going to be as a new volume name. Then you have option here to quick format. Now quick format means what? It is actually recreate only the file system. Now if I remove this, then it will do what? It will actually try to delete the data, and it will take a time. It may take long time. Then you can have an option to enable file and folder compression. You can also compress the file and folder to get some more space. Now by default, when you at the time of creating, when you select this, so any file or data you store in this volume, it will by default go by compression. It will automatically compress. And this option is not available under FAT. You can see this option is not available. This is only available in NTFS. So I'm not enabling compression. I'm going with normal quick formatting. And these are the options which I selected. And I say finish. And now it is going to format. And now it is going to be, and now it is available. And you can see this E drive is now available. And when you go to File Explorer, you can see the E drive. You can open it, you can store data and whatever. So this is what new space I have shrink this space. I have get created this new volume. Then there is one more option available under this new Windows 10 disk management, that is extending the volume. Extending the volume, that means suppose we have suppose in some drive, like suppose in this E drive I have 50 GB space available, but suppose I want to have more space in this, so I can extend the volume also without losing the data. This is important. Remember, we shrink the partition without losing the data. You can resize any partition by doing what? Deleting and recreating. By doing deleting and recreating. But when you delete and recreate, you lose the data. But I did resize this C drive. I shrink the volume by without losing the data. That is important. Now you can extend the volume also without losing the data, not by deleting and recreating. You can extend the volume without losing the data. So for example, we have some available space. Let me shrink some space from E drive first. So I will do shrink it some space. Without shrinking it, you will not get the option to extend. If you don't have any unallocated space, like if I right click here, so there is an option called extend the volume, but there is not available. It's not available because there is no available space. So I will do shrink this E drive. I will shrink 10 GB here. So I have some 10 GB available space. Now this is 40 GB. Now suppose I am storing data in this E drive, but it is now getting full. Now I want more space in this E drive. This is right now 40 GB, but I need more space. And I have available space here in this available space here. So I can use this space under this volume, E volume, by extending the E volume to this unallocated space. Now remember, for extending you need to have an unallocated space, otherwise you can't do this. Now what I will do, I will right click here, and now you can see I am having an option extend volume. So I click on extend volume. It will open this wizard to extend the volume. Now here it is showing that this is disk 0, which is selected. Right now we are having only one disk. If we have multiple disks, then we can see this available disk here in this available size. But right now we don't have any other disk. We have only one disk, and this is selected. Now what the size available here in this disk, we have 10 GB available here, 10,000 MB available here. So this right now, if I use the whole 10 GB, so my current volume will become 50 GB, and maximum available space is what? 100 GB. So I can use the whole space, or I can use whatever the space I want. For example, I don't use 10 GB, I use only 5 GB from here. So my current partition will become 45 GB. Next, and finish. Now you see this 10 GB now reduced to 5 GB, and the E volume is become what? 45 GB. It added the 5 GB from that unallocated space. So we can do what? We can extend the volume also, and we can do what? We can shrink the volume also. So this option was not available in previous versions of Windows. Now it is available. It is a great feature, but there is a problem here. There is a restriction here. You see the available space here. Now if I try to extend this drive, C drive, and try to use this unavailable space, unallocated space, so if I right click here, so it is not giving me option to extend the volume. unless we are having some unallocated space, still it is not giving me option to extend the volume. And that is why, because you can only extend the volume when you are having continuously unallocated space available. Just write to the partition which you want to extend. So if I want to extend the C drive, then I need to have an unallocated space just after this C drive. So this is why, because this is the basic disk and it supports only continuous space, contingent, like continuously space. So I cannot use this 4 GB available to this C drive. That is the problem, and that is the problem we have in previous versions of Windows also, where we are not able to extend any volume. We can extend now, we can shrink now, but only when you are having the space right after the partition we want to extend or shrink. And if I shrink this E volume, then what happened? The volume available will go to this side, it will not come to this side. Let me do this first. I will shrink this volume, I will extend the volume E drive to total available space. Now suppose I am having available space in E drive and I want to add that space into C drive. That also I can't do this. By logical, I can do what? I can shrink some volume from shrink some space from E drive, and I will extend the C drive to that available space. But that I can't do that. If I shrink some volume, some space from here E drive, let's say if I shrink some 5 GB from it, so it goes to this side, it will not come to this side. So I cannot extend this C drive to this available space. So this is what the problem. So you can do shrink and extend, but if you are not having a continuous space available, then you can't do extend. You cannot extend the volume for that volume. Now in this case, you can use the old type of option. Now why I want to extend this C drive? Because remember, I have completed, I have all the data, all the available space is full, and I don't have any more space to store some file or install some application. So what I can do here in this case, I have available space here, but I can't use it here. I can't extend this C drive to this. Now in that case, we can use that old option for using the mount. Remember, when we start creating the simple partition, by after choosing the size, we have this option available. This option is to mount in the following empty NTFS folder. That means you can create the partition, you can create the volume, and you can do what? You can mount the partition on a folder. On a folder, that means the folder remain in another location, and you can store any file on that folder. That data will go to that partition which is mounted on that folder, and that partition you will not see in a file explorer. You will not see the file, that partition here. We see here C, we see here E, but the new partition which I create, that 5 GB, you will not see here. It will be available on a directory. So suppose my C drive is full and I want to create one application, I want to install one application, and there is no space available here. So I will do what? I have to install it on this C drive. So I will create new folder and I will mount that partition on this folder. So it will be still the folder but look like a drive. So whatever the data you store in this folder, it will go to that partition. Let me show you that. So I am going to create this 5 GB partition, simple volume. I am going to use the whole space. Now this time I will not assign the drive letter, and I will not say do not assign. I will say don't assign the drive letter. but mount it on another drive, another folder. So I select this, then I will browse under the C drive. There is a folder data, so I select that. So it is going to mount on this directory, this folder. Then I will say next, and this is going to be formatted as a NTFS in all this quick format, and I will say next and finish. Now the partition is available, it is formatted, but it is not having any drive letter. So where it goes, so when you check it here in this Explorer, you see C and E drive, there is no F drive, it is not showing there. So what you can do, where it goes, actually it goes into C drive, this data folder. Now you can see the icon of the drive and you can see the shortcut. It says shortcut and it is actually showing 4 GB space, 5 GB space. So whatever data I will store here, it will be stored into that partition. So this file is stored into that partition, but I am storing it under the C drive in this folder, but it is storing in that partition. So this is the old way of using the data available space when you are not having string, when the administrators not have string or extended option. But still string and extended option has a limitation, so you can use this option also. So basically you don't use this. It is a Linux type of option where you can mount any partition on any folder. But still in some case, if you want, then you can use this feature. Now I can do what? I can right click on this partition and I can still change the drive letter or path. So after configuring it, you can still change the drive letter or path. What else you can do? You can format, you can shrink, you can delete the volume. So if I want to change the drive letter or path, so it shows that this is the path we have selected, so I will remove it. Right now I am only removing it. Removing it, that means I am only unmounting the partition, I am not deleting the partition. So when I go back to the C drive, you can see there is no, it is not showing that symbol, and when I go to the folder, it is not showing the data. Now why it is not showing the data? Because the data was under the partition and now the partition is not connected to that folder. Now it is not showing here under the Explorer. So what I can do, I can assign the drive letter. So if you select do not assign the drive letter, so you can assign after creating the partition also. You can change drive letter option and then you can say add and you can select the drive letter, or you can again select the different partition, different folder. Now this time I will give drive letter. This one is having a drive letter, and now you can see it in here in an Explorer. You can see the F drive, and when you go to the drive, you can see the data which we created on that folder. So this is what system volume, this is the basic simple volume we do create. We can create, we can do what? We can again format it. We can again format it, and when you format, you will remove all the data. The data will be removed, deleted. It says the formatting this volume will erase all data on it. Backup any data if you want to keep before formatting. Do you want to continue? I say yes. Now formatting means it is recreating the partition, recreating the file system, and when you check the data, you lose the data. Or even if you delete the partition, you lose the data. To delete the partition, you right click and select delete. Yes, it will delete all the data. Right click, delete. It will delete all the data. And then I will increase this to available space, and it becomes the just it was like previously. So this is how we can manage the simple volume. Now that other volumes, that means that span, strip or that other volume, that we can do on dynamic disk. Or when you create those span volume, strip volume or mirror volume, it will automatically convert your disk into dynamic. So this is how we can use this disk management tool to manage the simple volumes. Now other volumes or creating the volumes on the new disk we will see in the next video.